school, smiled Kip kinda dreamily. It was rather saddish. But I know nothing like that would happen to Woodwork. No life of adventure for him. He's practically an Imperial. In fact, he's the one. Did I tell you how we met? Hundreds of times, grumbled Cargill, reaching for his flagon. He was your jailer and he refused you food until you promised to marry him. Have you ever heard of anything so madly romantic in all your life? Sighed Kip kinda and then grew serious. I was going to say that I hope my old friends will wish me well, but as old Bosriel used to say, there is no point in hoping for what cannot be. We'll live with the Imperial Knights for Balmora immediately after the wedding, but as long as we're in Dagon Fell, the gang will find some way of disrupting my life and bringing me back to the light. I know it. As the days approached towards the Wraiths' wedding day, there was certainly something sinister in the air that Kip kinda could smell when she was not transported by heady bliss. Dark figures seemed to shift in the shadows and disappear when approached. She recognized the clothing of some beggars near Woodwork's cottage as costumes, but the mendicants hurried away before she could recognize which of her old gang was stalking her. But these moments of apprehension were few. Kip kinda was truly happy making arrangements for the ceremony to be performed at the very dungeon where Woodwork had imprisoned her. Her father was long since dead, another victim of the Ash Ghouls, but her Piance's commander volunteered to act in his behalf. Of course, Kip kinda had to supply her own dowry. She spent every last mark of her savings of ill-gotten gain to buy her beloved a truly wonderful present. The wedding was set for the stroke of midnight, as is Orc tradition. The handmaidens, wives of imperial officers, were busily sewing her into her gown of red velvet and fine gold filigree in the mid-morning. Dulcietta, one of the handmaidens, remarked that she had heard that Kip kinda had bought Woodwork a truly beautiful gift for her dowry. "Let me show it to you," Kip kinda jiggled, dashing from the room, half dressed to her hidden alcove. The present had been stolen. The women were horrified, but the Wraith found herself merely irritated, not surprised. This was truly the old gang style. They knew that a wedding ceremony without a dowry was marked as an unlucky. She asked her handmaidens to finish dressing her quickly while she pondered what the burglars would have done with her treasure. The whole region was honeycombed with secret lairs and abandoned sites thieves used to store their loot. There were obvious places, of course, but after much reflection, she thought of where she would have put it and under similar circumstances. Once the handmaids had finished, Kip kinda bade them to make certain that the ceremony went on as scheduled, and not to fret as she might be a little late. She wrapped herself in a shawl to protect her gown from dungeon dust and set off to the shrine of Malakath. The Wraith had never before attempted to rob her own friends, and though she was peeved at them for trying to ruin her happiness, she had no interest in hurting them physically. Her style was to avoid conflict, though she knew it would be inevitable. The lessons her mentor Cargill had given her had helped her avoid the lances and blades of guards and Imperial Knights over the years. Now she would see if they would allow her to survive a den of thieves and the unknown dangers of the shrine, without, most importantly, ruining her dress. The desolate place was so empty as she delved into it that she feared she might have made a miscalculation. It was not until she found the small room hidden down a long corridor that she knew she was at the right place, and that it was well suited for an ambush. She grabbed the chest with her treasure within and turned to face the assault. Two of her old gang, Yorum and Yor-E, the Red Guard, twin brother and sister, were outside the door as she came from the room. They knew the Wraith better than to taunt her and immediately attacked. Yorum struck out with a left thrust of his blade, while Yor-E sought to rush her. The Wraith neatly sidestepped Yor-E while dropping her weight to her rear left leg, shifting her right shoulder to the left to slip past Yorum's strike. The twins crashed into one another and Kipkaina passed swiftly on. Almost immediately she was set on by the Argonian Binyar, his mace whistling through the air at her head. They had never much liked one another. The Wraith snapped into a duck, so the mace whacked with a tremendous clamour against the stone wall. Binyar was thrown off balance, giving her a few seconds lead hurrying up the passage. Ahead she could smell the fresh night air. The last of her Dowry's defenders was Sorov, an orc with whom she had shared a brief romance. It was he who Kipkaina knew had masterminded the theft. In a way and in context, she thought his devotion to her misery was rather sweet. At the moment, though, she was most concerned with avoiding his barbed axe that seemed ideal for breaking her dress fine stitchwork and the flesh beneath. Bending her knees slightly, bobbing to avoid strikes to the head, waving her head to confuse Sorov of her next move, shuffling her feet arithmetically, the Wraith made an impossible target. She ducked inside his thrusts, sidestepped his swings, and then sidestepped his thrusts. As erratic as she tried to make her defensive moves, Sorov still kept pace with her, refusing to budge from his position at the dungeon outlet. Midnight was coming, and the Wraith finally decided that she must end the confrontation. When Sorov swung her next, she sidestepped to her left, swayed down, and ducked her head to the axe whistled over her right shoulder. In that instant, his right side was exposed, and she reluctantly smashed the chest hard into his torso. There was not enough time for Kipkaina to see if she had killed him or merely knocked him unconscious. In truth, she thought of nothing else but rushing to her wedding ceremony. At precisely midnight, Woodwork and Kipkaina were united together. He was delighted with her dowry gift, a fine suit of armor that would make him the envy of the other imperial jailers. Even more, he was enchanted by his wife's tale of retrieving it from the shrine of Malakav. Did it occur to you to put on the armor when you knew that it was an ambush? He asked. I didn't want to dent your present, she replied between kisses, and I certainly didn't want to wrinkle my gown. That was a good one. I liked it. Alright, let's take a break. Let's sleep a bit, like 8 hours.